Hey, 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 Dr.Minesha here, affectionately known as Dr. M, and want to officially welcome you to the Peace Driven Leader Lounge. It is always a pleasure to be able to connect with some of the top leaders all across the globe who are serious about growth leadership. And I have the ultimate privilege to be able to identify the cream of the crop, right? When it comes to leadership, especially males who are showing up, loving, living, and leading differently. Not only do I know Terrence personally and have for several years, it's been such a privilege to be able to share this space with him on the couch in the lounge virtually, so that we can have real candid conversations that matter. And this is a very special episode to me, just because when I see men of color who are moving and shaking at this aptitude, it
Mm,
just sets my soul on fire. Do you hear me? Because the level of modeling that our culture needs, to see that, it just, man, it just lights my soul. And so I want to be able to spread that shine all across the airwaves today. As he starts to talk, you'll be able to feel it. He's one of the most realist, down to earth, like loving, focused men that I've had the pleasure to be around. And I'm super excited to be able to introduce him. Welcome to the lounge, Terrence. Do people call you T?
sometimes, depending on what day of the
Okay.
week it is.
All right,
Sometimes
T.
it's Mr. Barber, sometimes it's T, sometimes it's there's some other names I've
So,
been
okay,
called.
cool. What do you want
Right.
to be? What do you want to be referred to as we're doing a
Terrence is
podcast?
fine.
Mr.
Terrence is
Barber?
fine. Terrence is fine. Terrence is fine.
All
Terrence
right,
is fine.
there.
But thank you
So,
so much, first and foremost, for
absolutely. Thank
affording me the
you.
opportunity
Of
to
course.
share this platform with you. So
Absolutely.
really, first and foremost appreciative of the opportunity to
Aw,
have this conversation. I wanted to make sure.
absolutely. So tell us about yourself. No one can introduce themselves
Mm,
quite like them. So tell us a
Well,
little bit about Terrence.
okay, abbreviated version. My name is Terrence L. Barber, born and raised Tallahassee, Florida, father of three.
All right.
Grew up in a college town. Manisha, you know a whole lot about Tallahassee,
Mhm.
Florida, and
Yeah.
in what the great parts and also not so great parts of growing up in what has been coined as a college town. I matriculated through Tallahassee State College, Florida A&M University. Now, my day to day, my biggest accomplishment in life is being a father. I love my
Yes.
children dearly. I think they are the motivation of
Mhm.
everything else
Yes.
outside of my personal life. My professional life has definitely been geared towards the freedom to still be present
Mm.
in my children's lives as much as possible. And in that presence, right now, professionally, I am the regional community development director for Loyalty Credit Union, where I get to travel across the panhandle and do speaking
Awesome.
engagements and financial education workshops and empowerment, grant procurement, procurement, member satisfaction. I mean, making
All
sure that all of
right.
our members are served, no matter what their socioeconomic status may be. I'm also the founder and curator of Working Class Wednesday, which we have coined
Yes,
the
incredible
ultimate
movement.
networking
I'm telling you.
experience. We are now in our 10th year of
Wow.
bridging the gap between local community and local small business, and also local government. I'm also a real estate agent and investor.
All
So
right.
I've been in real estate and construction for quite some time now, but I decided to take the leap and go on the agent side so that I can
Mm.
transactionally be able to
Mhm.
represent people, especially people that love and trust me. So that's in a nutshell who I am. I don't want to,
Yeah,
tarry on too long, but
that is incredible. I mean, that's
those,
incredible. I
those are
love the
some,
way you led with your role as a parent because
oh,
that's one of my
absolutely.
most, proudest accomplishments myself.
Yeah.
And we really attract leaders who are what I call family centered. And so I'm sure that that resonated for a lot of people to see that you prioritize because it's one thing when we say it, it's another thing when our calendar reflects it, you
Uh,
know?
I truly believe that's the only position that I hold that I will never be replaced.
That's right, and
That's the
that's
only
why,
that's the only position, that's the
you
only title
know?
that I carry, that no matter what happens in life, that I will never be replaced in that role. So that's
Let that
why I have such
sit. Let that sit right
an
there.
esteem for it.
You know, and that's why it deserves the priority seat, because
Mhm.
when something is irreplaceable, just by the definition,
Absolutely.
you
You only
see
get
the
one.
value. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it takes people many years, and there's no judgment. Like I was a workaholic,
Mhm.
and a lot of times you fall into the great deception where you feel like you're doing it for your kids. And
Mm.
one day, I'm gonna not have to work so much. And
Right.
one day, you never really get to that. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, they're growing up. And then you look at them, you're like, dang, where did
Where
the
all the
time
time go?
go?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So we talk
decided
about
early on that that wasn't gonna be the case.
yeah, well, I follow you on social media, and you made a post just about your daughter, and you talked about, how you and your daughter's mom was able to have a really good conversation when it comes to
Mhm,
her future. I really want to unpack that because
mhm.
you were in a relationship and now you're not with your daughter's mom,
Correct.
right? Okay.
No, it's been
But
many, many
you were
moons.
okay, many, many moons ago. Your daughter's how old now? How old is your daughter?
My daughter's 17.
Your
She'll
daughter
be
is
18 in October.
17, about to
Yeah,
be an
she'll be
adult.
yeah, she'll be just the last
So,
the baby. She bringing
uh,
up the rear.
and she's the youngest?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've really done a great deal of work to have 3 children, and now the last one is moving
Yes.
into adulthood,
Mhm.
and you've been able to co-parent, and
Mhm.
have conversations that matter. And so the reason why I really would love to hear your take on this is because when it comes to leadership, it's about your ability to have capacity to love,
Mhm.
to live with intentionality, to give generously and to live differently than the masses, right? And for a male to love, especially a daughter,
Mhm.
what does that feel like? Because, growing up, I don't know, fully all the details of your background, but how do you tap into that reservoir of unconditional love, care? How is your day thinking, asking questions, being in tune with the matters of her heart, like all of those things that society equates to being, to a woman. How do
Right.
you step into that role as
Of
a
course,
father?
yeah, it's a process, because a lot of times as a father, and I can speak from my own personal experience, I never the part about my daughter growing up and becoming an adult never excited me. My sons,
Mm.
I was so eager. Boy, please
Mm.
themselves, please go do something with your life. Please go like, please go do please go.
You wanna get
But
them as independent and
yeah,
ready for the world
please.
as
I was so
possible.
excited when they started talking to girls and things, and I
Mm.
I was like, like, yeah, that's my boy, but it's totally different dynamic. Um, when it comes to my daughter, and it's more, and it's from a place of endearment, but at the
Mm.
same time, that's still my baby girl, and I think she'll always be my baby girl. So it's finding that happy medium between being
Yeah.
the listener and the overbearing father. You don't
Yeah.
and I think that's the basis of it. Like I always want her
Yeah.
to feel like I hear her. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I also want to, to be in a space where she trusts me enough to also
Mm.
hear me. So if I'm speaking on that dynamic and the way that she's helped shape and like I love her. What does she say? I love her down bad. Like I love
Ah.
like that's my baby. Like and she knows that. And
Yeah.
sometimes she plays on that
Of
and
course.
that's to be expected because I mean there's a viral clip that she sent me the other day, and she was like, "Oh, so you don't want to talk to me? My daddy will. Or you don't want to do that for me? My daddy will." Like, and I want her to always know
Uh,
that, yeah, my daddy will. So that's the relationship
mm.
that we have. So I'm
My
not gonna,
daddy
yeah, my
will.
daddy will.
And let me
Yeah.
tell you something. That's so good right there. And I would love for you to just really unpack this word, this one word, and I would love to get your thoughts on it when it
Mhm,
comes to protector.
mhm,
When we protect and provide, those are the two P's that I feel like a lot of men really like
mhm.
carve their identity around. And at
Right.
the same time, I just don't see it being as holistically integrated as it should. And when you talk about protection, it's usually from a physical standpoint. But
Mhm.
when I heard your daughter send you that reel, it's like the protection of the heart, you
Absolutely.
know? Like, that's another form. What are
Yeah.
some other ways you feel like you operate in this embodiment of protection that is not just physical, "Don't mess with my daughter, don't do,"
Yeah, because I mean, in that space, in the physical space, she's reluctant to call me.
Right.
She's
Yes,
reluctant to call
because she
me because
knows.
she know her daddy
Yes, she knows.
So if it's something that she needs to tell me, she will wait until
Right.
she's in a place, in a space to be like, "Hey, dad." And I tell her this all the time, "Terrion, don't start your conversation off with daddy, don't get mad." Because instantly, I'm already now I'm waiting to see what it is that I should be mad
Exactly,
about.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah, so let's
exactly.
not do that, but also and, like, as she gets older, I just and it's a lifelong philosophy, and like you said, when people think about, the physical protection, like, that doesn't mean having emotional decision, in one certain situation that may or may not take you away from being able to protect your daughter from now on,
Right,
like, and those are the
right.
things that as men and I think it's a lot of times it's ego driven because we think these are the reactions that are expected of us. But at the same time, if
Mm,
we're looking further down the line, like I want my daughter to be able, I want to be a resource for my
mm,
daughter for as long as I'm able to be a resource
mhm.
for her. I'm not
And
telling
not
her
just
that
financially,
yeah,
not
and I'm not
just
saying that she should
yeah,
always depend on me, but if she
right,
needs her father,
yeah,
for whatever role that it is
right.
that she needs me in that moment, and that role tends to change. Like, the role that my
Mm,
daughter needs me to play in her life at 17 is not the same exact role that I played at 7.
so
And as a
good.
man, we have to be willing to adapt because times are changing. These children are growing up. Like I face she has literally grown up on Facebook. So
Yeah.
Facebook memories tend to just show
Mm,
me like how much she's
mm,
grown and how proud I am of her growth. And at the same time, as men, we can't stand in our own way
mm,
when it comes to being a parent, especially when it comes to daughters. Because a lot of times I had to grow to a space and
mm,
understand like it's your job to be who she needs when she needs, not just
mm.
who you want to be in her life, because that's not how
Wow.
fatherhood and parenting works.
Wow. Who she needs, when she
When she
needs.
needs, correct.
That ability to be able our agility to be able to just, like, evolve and, to display the part of yourself that she's
Mhm.
needing, that is such a humbled elevated
Yeah.
legacy level. This is what I mean, you all, when I talk about legacy level insights. Like that is because it's like, let me humble myself in the moment because I don't want this temporary emotion to
Mhm.
impact the safety that my child feels for a lifetime. That's
Right.
legacy level
Yep.
insight because
Yep.
once that is tarnished and she no
It's
longer
hard to get
sees
back.
you as that,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so
It's
that's what we
sacrifice.
mean.
It's
Yeah.
sacrifice. Yep.
Yeah.
Love is
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Oh, wow. I love
Mhm.
that. Love is sacrifice. And when you think about sacrifices over just your transition and all the things that you've been able to accomplish, what were some seasons that felt like extremely sacrificial? Like those seasons felt so heavy, where it just seemed like you was just knocking on every
Yeah.
way you turn was another sacrifice.
Right.
Do
I
you can
I
you recall?
I think that's the typical story of my life. Like me being like I was a
Mm.
single father at 24 years old, 23 years old. I had full custody
Mm.
of my oldest son. I
Wow.
didn't want to do that. Oh my God, I didn't want to do that. I
Mm.
felt like it was the right thing to do once we got going.
Of course, of
I was
course.
more and more as the time as of course one thing time is going to do is going to tell.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
and as time began to tell, I realized that was exactly what
what
I
you
needed.
needed.
Yeah,
What
in
do you
that
feel
child.
like your first son what do you feel like
Oh
he
wow.
how has he contributed to the man you are today?
I mean, he's like my hard-headed best friend, like the best friend that you like they come to you for advice, but they never listen, but you love them just the same. Like you just
Now, how do you and so you must have read the book Let Them, like, because you
Yeah,
say that and it's like you've just released all like, you even
yeah,
put humor in it, but that's a very
yeah,
stressful
yeah,
situation for parents to have adult children when I'm
right,
telling you and I'm giving you
right,
wisdom and you're
yeah,
choosing not to
right.
listen.
But
How do you get to that place of just, like, you
because
laugh it off?
I'm at a point now where I feel like loving you is mandatory, but taking care of you is optional. Like, my oldest son is
Mm.
27 years old. He knows, like, I've mastered saying no. Like, now my daughter
Mm.
ain't quite got that God still working on me. But, I know how to laugh, like, at some of his requests,
Uh-huh.
and I can see the look on his face, the look of surprise when I begin
Mm.
laughing, like, "I know you didn't just ask me." Uh, yeah, I've been doing this for 20 some years, son. Yes, at this point, I'm an empty nester. Yeah, it's time for me to, go out into the
Yeah.
world and, not make up for lost time because you never do. But I think
Yeah.
that God intended for me to be able to be agile,
That's
in
right.
this season. And what that comes with is financial responsibility, not just my own, but yours as well, son. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I'm able to laugh at, man, because we've cried so much together, that we
Mm.
literally grew up together. I can
Wow.
honestly say that, like, we watched each other grow up to a certain extent,
Wow.
and I'm forever grateful. I'm forever grateful.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
That
I'm
is
glad that I made that decision.
yes. Do you have any regrets in life when you think back at just all the seasons you've been able to overcome?
I really
Good
can't call them regrets. I mean, I have decisions that I made that I probably should have,
missteps?
yeah, missteps, thought through. I should have thought that through,
Right.
for a little while. I probably shouldn't have acted, emotionally, in that
Mm.
moment. I mean, but as far as regrets about major life decisions, if I was to look back over my life and like everything that I've gone through, no, I would not. Of course, people tend to say this cliche saying like I wouldn't change a thing, but no, there's probably things I would change, but I don't know
Mm.
how. I don't. The fear in that is I don't know how that would
It would have
alter
affected the other
how that
things.
would alter my
Right.
present. And right now, my present ain't that bad.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right. That's
yeah,
alright right there. That's alright. I mean, to be at that place of, contentment,
right,
um, with the ability to be able to have this strive for more, right?
right.
It's that
Absolutely.
delicate balance of being content, but still seeing ahead and still being hopeful and
Yeah,
inspired by all that's to come ahead. When you think about, just vision, because you work in corporate, but you are a entrepreneur spirit since day one, and
right,
you have been masterful at your ability to maneuver in your corporate space with what I call the spirit of entrepreneurship.
right,
Like, I would love for you to share with the, especially the corporate leaders who are listening, who really want to like find that harmony to where they
right.
are literally their own owner,
Hmm.
who is co-partnering with the company and activating their gifts to bring the vision forward in an aligned way. Like, what are your thoughts around how you're able to do that so well?
I think that believing that I'm the absolute best at being me. Like, I am
Mm,
nobody can be me,
mm,
better than me, and I think a lot of times people spend so much time and energy on creating this facade and
mm,
to fit into this mold or this cliche reckoning of who they think corporate America, is seeking, and I think that,
mm,
um, transparency,
mm.
is huge. Being
Give
yourself.
me a practical, very specific example of that, because that's one thing that I always say. I want this to feel really real and
Okay,
tangible.
so even in my current role with the credit union, there was not a role for me. I had a good friend of mine
Mm,
reach out.
mhm,
She was merging 2 credit unions together to create this large. I had no idea. I had never worked in the credit union industry in my life.
mm,
She was creating this larger credit union, and she said she wanted me to join her on this movement, is what she
mm,
called it, because she's very passionate about the credit. This is what she's done her entire life, and she saw my body of work and what I did
mhm,
and how the community felt about me and how I felt about the community and the things that drove me to doing all of the different initiatives in which I was a part of. And I told her she didn't have a position for me. Looked at the positions,
mm.
but you know what she did?
She
She
created
created one.
one.
Created one.
Mm.
And I think that's the space that if you are
Wow.
creative, if you do have that entrepreneurial spirit, there's nothing wrong with playing a role in someone else's ecosystem, but also
Mm,
not allowing that role to drain you or to take
mm,
away from the creative nature that
mm,
God has placed on you. So for me, personally, if I'm speaking of of intention, I spent about 10 years in the auto industry, but it was
Mm.
like owning your own business within a business.
Right, of
I
course.
just didn't
Yeah.
have the overhead. Like, it was like I
Right.
owned my own car
Yeah.
lot. I just
Yeah.
didn't have to buy the cars. I didn't have to pay the bills. So it was like, it's kind of a win-win. I'm not worried about what the owner is making because I don't have to pay the rent. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
That
he
part.
should make more than me. He has more invested than I do. And he has to be here. I can come and go as much as I like and make
That's
good
right.
money off of selling the cars that he paid for. So for me, that was a great space for me coming out of full-time entrepreneurship and going into the auto industry thinking like, wow, this doesn't feel like a job. You know, looking
Mm.
back, I don't think I've ever been in a space, not knocking anybody that's because of course there's different strokes for different folks. I don't think I've never operated a time clock. I've never believed in trading
Mm.
time for money.
Mhm.
Rather, God gave me too many talents. If
Mm.
there's something. It has to be
Right.
marketable somewhere, but you also that's getting out of
Mm.
your own way and letting people know, how valuable you are to the marketplace.
I love that. How valuable you are to the marketplace. And I believe that that is a really good place to start for those of you who are listening is, I mean with my action items, but I do think that it's exercises, little exercises like that make big differences. If you would just write down all of the marketable traits about yourself and then go and highlight how many of those are being activated at your current place of work,
Mm,
and that is going to really connect with that level of fulfillment. Because I really feel, and not just fulfillment, but your ability to produce at a high level. Even if you are a top performer, how much more room is there to be optimal at your work if you can turn the lever up on more gifts and levels of fulfillment at that space? How many gifts are being activated? So I would love to just hear from you all in the comments. For those who would following this podcast, because Terrence made some very powerful, transformative suggestions, and just according to how he's lived his life. And that's what I want y'all to do. And y'all listening to literally look and listen to his story and see yourself and
mm,
see areas in which you have done that and how you can up level and areas that you can tweak, because essentially that's what life really kind of looks like at the end of the day. It's just tweaks. That's why I feel like you can confidently say, you know, it's a misstep. It's not a failure. It's just
right.
boom. I went this way. I gave feedback, and then I know not to go that way, and this is the way I need to go. And then okay, I do that,
Mm.
and that's how life is. It's not
It's
pass or
chapters.
fail,
Yeah,
right? It's not,
it's chapters. Like, I'll
yeah.
never forget when I first got custody of my son, I qualified for food
Mm.
stamps. I was so happy when I went down to that
Mm.
place and I filled out my actual information. And those
Mm.
people told me, "Yes, Mr. Barber, you do qualify for food stamps." It was about a year or so later. I said, "You know what? I'm tired of qualifying
Wow.
for food stamps. Like, what do I have to do to disqualify myself?" Every time I went to recertify, as I started to build on these gifts and talents, and as business began to grow, because at the time I was living in Gainesville. So I had to come back to Tallahassee and start my entire life back over when I got custody of him. But that was I just had to throw that benchmark out there. Like, so people listen and thinking that like this is
You
just
just
always
arrived.
no,
No.
no, no,
Started from the
no. We
bottom, now I'm
qualify.
here.
Yeah, and I kinda miss it because we used to go to the grocery store. I just tell them, "Just get whatever you want. Just get
You are hilarious. What
just
do
get
I
whatever
need to
you want."
do to disqualify?
Right,
And
right, right,
I'm
right,
gonna
right.
say that to you, that are listening as well when we talk about qualifying versus disqualifying. There's
Mhm.
some areas in our life that we do need to disqualify ourselves,
Yeah,
you know?
'cause it breeds
And
complacency. It breeds complacency.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Like what worked then that you were happy, gave you a great emotion that you were approved, that you no longer want to be, approved. You want to operate in a different frequency. And
Mhm.
it's not like an overnight thing. Sometimes it's literally like, okay, when I hit this mark or when I hit this mark. And
Right,
for some people it's money, and for other people it's time freedom. Because
right,
many people who are listening, you've gotten the blueprint on how to make a lot of money. But if you don't have that time, then what are we doing? We're
right.
still in that cycle of unfulfillment. And so, you really want to create that perfect blend of having that time freedom and having that money freedom, and so that you can be able to model what it looks like to truly be free. And if you are not there yet, you have a game plan, and that's what matters, or that it starts with the desire. And so I really appreciate just your insight on today, and would love for you to, if you had to think of one thing that you just wanted to leave the audience with, one message, one thought that you feel is really meaningful for them to hold and to ponder or to remember, what would that be?
I would think my if I could leave the audience, this vast audience, that you've, accumulated here, in this space, I would say that continue to serve,
Mm,
in all humility. My favorite quote, and I say this all the time, is if serving is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you.
mm, mm,
Continue to serve. Like, there's an entire world out there that needs your service, needs your product, needs your good, needs your heart to serve
mm,
others, and a lot of times we get so distracted
mm,
by what's in it for me. What's in it for me that we
mm.
forget that we were put here to serve others. I've built an entire career based on serving others, and I just pray that God never allows me to lose sight of the
Service.
reason why He put me here on this earth. So that would be just
Mm.
continue to serve, continue to serve.
Wow. Thank you so very much. Well said. Well, you all heard it here in the lounge from Mr. Terrence Barber. Servant leadership. That's what it's
Servant
about,
leadership.
and I'm so excited that you have joined paths with us and our paths crossed when it did. I trust that you were able to take so much insight from what was, I mean, he was dropping gems today. Yeah, left and right. And the thing I love about this space, you all, is that it's a sacred space for people to be able to disclose their human walk, their journey. And sometimes in a world of, AI and TikTok and social media, we can get lost in the smoke screen, the nice cars and the fancy suits and the vacations, that we forget that people are living life and
Mhm.
they're having challenges. They're not, may not be showing it, but it can feel isolated to feel like you are just having those. No, you can be great and still have a challenging time at the same time. You could be phenomenal, have a calling on you that's beyond what anybody ever imagined, and still have to work through healing or growth and personal development. Two things can be true at the same time. And
Anytime.
so we want to be able to create that space where you have both and there's no judgment. And so remember, it's not about how much you carry, it's about how well you carry it. When you
Mm.
have the proper support and leaders, like you heard from Terrence today, then you're able to carry it well. And so if you haven't downloaded the app, is I Lead, We Rise. Download that app. It is one of the most profound, simplest way to integrate peace-driven leadership in your everyday life, because we as leaders, we have to learn to live with the end in mind. Like Terrence said plenty of times, we can't make decisions temporarily in the moment because they impact us 5 and 10 years down the line. They impact our children. So it's very important that we're putting things in place that's going to anchor us in a world that's so loud. So with that being said, remember, peace-driven leadership is not something you find. It's something you create. And this is your moment to create it. Until next time, bye-bye for now.